you can get stuff. It's available. It's something I'm selling product. Just was like kind of a fun name.
Um, Sorry about that. So apparently the audio was still screwed up. I'm going to ask you one more time.
Sure.
So I'm sorry.
Hey.
So what I said before is the fact that we don't know too much about Barely Available, which is
Hmm.
what makes this interview very interesting. And the reason why we didn't know too much about it is because we had a really hard time getting our hands on Barely Available. So
Sure.
where does the name from Barely Available come from?
It was just an attempt to be clever. Barely was as a website was taken. Um, so just adding on to it, and it's a product that it's like, hey, these maybe toys are available. Is one kind of perspective on it. I initially tried doing stuff through Instagram and was like, oh, I should have a site. And then when I had a site, like people instantly stopped buying. Like it was weird. They only want because Instagram I think was really easy but so like just trying to come up with a name because originally it was like uh, what was I using like Shop Envy or something like that, Big Cartel or something, and it was just like shop.barely dot whatever. So
Okay.
when I had to actually like use a name, barely available just seemed like a clever name more than anything else, not an intentionally limited product.
Interesting. Yeah, that's kind of funny because I thought it started off as just being literally barely available. That's where the name had come from, but I guess not. Um,
No,
so what motivated you to become a toy creator, a collectible creator? I don't know what people call it, toys or
sure,
collectibles.
yeah.
I guess it's the same thing.
I think that as many terms as you can come up with, somebody probably uses that term. It's
True.
yeah. For me, it was I've been collecting since childhood, whether it was back at He-Mans and GI Joes and things, kid of the 80s and 90s, and then when it kind of became uncool in high school, you kind of put that stuff away, and then you realize, hey, I don't really care what other people think is cool. I'm going to be into what I'm into. I started like collecting again bobbleheads and things, and then when Funko kind of came around, I know sometimes in the designer toys there's a little bit of no love for Funko, but without the easy access and a collectible I could go find on the Target shelves for $9, I might not have got into it the same way I have. Um, and then just like loving how figures and collectibles and things from different fandoms and uh, kind of fast forward a little bit to my day job, I kind of became more of a people manager and quit doing creative art and things. I was a motion graphic artist.
Oh, cool.
Um, so once I started getting into more people management, my day to day felt less creative, and there was no avenue for that stuff.
Sure.
And so I started, I had bought a 3D printer, and I was into like tinkering around making things with a 3D printer. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to try to make a figure. And had a lifelong love for bears, and going all the way back to watching Jungle Book with my grandpa, and Baloo on there. So
Is that where? So that's the original idea of the bear character came from your fascination or love of bears. Is that where it all
yeah,
started?
yeah, it's just the fact that a bear looks fuzzy and cuddly and warm, but could like just maul you to death and just try to rip your head off. So it's just that two sides of the coin that's very just fascinating to me, and has been for quite a while.
that's that's interesting. I it's funny. I like trying to figure out more about Barely. I decided to go
Mhm.
far back in your Instagram, and if you
Okay.
go far back enough, you can see where you're creating like Mark One Barely,
Sure. Yeah.
and that's pretty
Yeah. I've,
cool.
I've been yeah I've been sharing it out just because I never I was really inspired by Reese O'Brien. You mentioned him earlier, and now I have the pleasure of kind of partnering with him to work on some stuff with Barely. But he showed on his Instagram just kind of his process with Tiny Ghost, and it was sketches, and then it became like a 3D render, and then a printout, and then resin, and just watching him do that. And I've said this before in interviews, but I realized he's just a person at home doing this, so that means I'm able to do it too.
Sure.
The stuff, resources are out there, information's out there, especially now with YouTube and places like that where it's you can get educated on doing different things. Yeah, it was. So I shared it along the way, because originally it was a collecting account where I just posted like artwork that I made and collectibles that I had, and it used to be called Collect and Create. And then back in the day, yeah, that's what I called my account, because that's what I was going to do: show stuff that I collected and created. Very on the nose, right?
Yeah, you're not very original with that old
No
screening.
no
Collect and Create. I like it.
Yeah. I wanted to really have truth in advertising. Just really get that out there.
You're really good at that. You're no what do they call it? Clickbait. No clickbait.
Yeah, right.
You're just to the point.
They know exactly what they're getting.
Yeah. There you go.
I love that.
So the plan for Barely from the start was more or less a toy, a collectible.
It was just more or less like a see if I could do it. Like, I don't, just being completely honest, I didn't expect when I did those first resin casts, because I thought, oh, I like this, but bear figures aren't things I hear people really talking about. But I went something super simple and that I liked, that was really clean, sleek, like lines and design, because I thought it would be an easy figure to mold, easy to figure to do just different things with, without a lot of intricate detail, so that it would be harder to do a mold of. And so I just kept it nice and simple, and then I posted about it, and people were like, well, let me know if you make any figures to sell. I was like, and that was like a foreign concept to me. It's like, I'm just doing this so that I don't go crazy from just people managing all day without making anything, creating anything. And then it just, another person asked, and another person, they said, can you make one that looks like this, or can you do this? I was like, yeah. And I just kept at it, and it's just kind of gone on and on from there, and I'm like, wow, it's neat that people like what I like, like something that I'm passionate about and interested in. It like struck a chord with, various people, and people started wanting to buy them.
That's cool that you kind of taught yourself how to do this, because you just wanted to see if you could do it. I find that to be the most interesting part, because, some of these guys out there who are making toys like this, it starts off almost as like a business. Like they're like all business in their head. Well, Funko can make a cool toy and sell millions. Why can't I do that? You kind of did it just the creativity value, and I find that to be pretty cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's just something to just help decompress at the end of the day. After the kids go to bed, and it's something I can go out in the garage and do. I was doing it for a little bit, and then I'd come inside, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of let the steam out of the engine, so it didn't explode.
That's cool.
So who are your influences when it comes to toy making and things? You mentioned Reese O'Brien, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have other people, like anybody stand out for you?
Gosh, there's people that I've really liked their work. James Groman's one. He does some really, really cool stuff, a lot of the kaiju and monster stuff. And if I'm remembering correct, he used to sculpt some of the Mad Balls from way back in the day. When I was a kid.
Those are awesome.
And they're super crazy detail. Just various artists that I've gotten to know since collecting, like Nikki Davis, who's like a mural artist and stuff, and now he does figures every once in a while. He's got cool stuff. I wouldn't say it's like there were any real toy makers that got me into making toys, but since I've kind of got into this community, which is just insane how generous people are and how willing they are to share, not just collectors but like artists too. So I've become good friends with Ghost Fox Toys. It's a husband and wife duo. They do crazy awesome resins and customs and things. Like I said, Nikki Davis. It's got Aiden Monahan. It's a really phenomenal tattoo artist who's also paints a lot of toys, but has made a couple figures of his own. Just really cool people along the way. But if I'd say like a big inspiration would be Reese, just because of how open and how much he shared what he did. And I really liked the simplistic nature of Tiny Ghost, how it was you could just keep kind of like a platform. You could just keep adding to it and doing cool stuff to it. And it took different feel you know.
Absolutely. It's like a little round piece of paper basically, right? So you can do anything you want with it.
Yeah.
And I've noticed on your Instagram,
Sure.
not only through your releases and things, but you also do similar doodles that Reese O'Brien has done.
Mm-hmm.
But your doodles
Sure.
are really cool. There was one I think just popped up a
Thanks.
couple weeks ago, and he had like a little kind of face on him, and I think there was like a tie on him or something. It was a really neat little figure. It's black and white,
Okay,
if I
cool.
remember. Or no, maybe it had like a rock T-shirt. I can't remember. I've looked through all of your Instagram stuff.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen so much. So when you sit down
Thanks.
to create something like this, like you have this skeleton one here,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Yeah.
where did the idea for something like this come from?
The fascination, with skeletons and stuff, is probably goes all the way back to Karate Kid and the guys that were, you know, harassing him. They had those hoodies and those little suits that were all like very skeleton. That's like a very vivid image from my childhood. I think the skeletons that way, Skeletor, from He-Man. Just a lot of cool imagery. Where I lived in Central California, there's a lot of Hispanic culture and Dia de los Muertos and the Calaveras skulls and different things. And so I've always liked skulls and stuff like that. And, that's why when Reese first did with Tiny Ghost, he did the X-Ray was one of the early releases.
Yes. Yep.
That was, I saw that coming, and like money was like, okay, I can't buy every collectible there, so he's gonna have like a white and a gold and a silver and stuff. And I was like, I'm going for the skeleton. When the skeleton one comes out, I'm gonna get that one. And so just really just being fascinated with that, and that was one of the first when I did an all white resin. Barely, I was like, I'm gonna draw a skeleton on this thing, because just no real logic to it other than like something I like.
Yeah.
It's really cool to do. Real stark. It's already white resin, so putting that black and white imagery together. And then people were just like, oh, yeah, I love it. Can I get one? And I did some glow in the dark ones and some different ones, all the hand cast resin. So I was like, well, it's treated me well so far. I'll try that when I decided to finally do a vinyl. I was like, I'll just keep going with this kind of skeleton idea.
So what was that transition like? You go from doing these resin figures and now you're going into vinyl. Was that a crazy transition for you? Is like resin figures you make yourself, but the vinyl ones, is that something you send off and obviously somebody else is making it?
Sure. I think just curiosity of that, hand drawing those pieces, trying to get straight lines, trying to get, a continuous look to them. Because if somebody sees it and they want one too, you want it to like look similar. You don't want it to be like all over the place if you're hand drawing it. And knowing that trying to get that without going to a production piece is kind of difficult. And I was like, well, okay, this is really cool. I got figured out how to do the stuff with resin. I wonder what it would take to do vinyl. And so I had just started researching it, heard people talk about it, like Connor, you mentioned from Abominable.
Yeah.
I heard him talk a little bit about it in an interview. I reached out to some people on Instagram, just, out of curiosity, if they were willing to share kind of some of the road they took and who they talked to. And honestly, some of the vibe was like, oh, unless you're, going to make this many pieces, I think it was well over like 1,000 or something. Don't even bother.
Wow.
And then I saw like it cost, over 10 grand. And I was like, I don't know how I could do that. That's just
a lot
not
of money.
I don't have. Yeah. And then, with the, family and a couple kids, it's convincing my wife like, hey, let's drop $10,000 on a toy. She's like, a toy? So, but I just kept at it. And I think I was hitting it at an interesting time where more and more people were getting into it. Factories were lowering their minimum order quantity of how much they wanted you to do. So the first, I spent a year probably going off and on for a couple, for like I say, a year, going off and on with factories, asking questions, getting quotes. And I finally found a factory that would let me do a minimum order quantity of 200.
Wow.
And I did the original OG black and white one with the red heart.
Okay,
I did,
yeah.
the blue and white one That's a dark blue and white, and then I did it's called Barely Electric. It's green, like a hot pink and a neon green, and that was my designer con exclusive. And
That's an
there's
awesome one.
100, 50, and 50, and that's why the order quantity is so small, or edition size. It's because I was squeezing it into that 200 and seeing if I could make something happen out of it. You know,
Wow.
so it wasn't intentionally, I'm gonna make a limited run piece. It was, I'm hoping I can make 200 figures.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah.
So yeah.
That's cool. You know, how long does it take to come up with a brand new design for a figure? It seems like you've done a lot of these like skeleton kind of figures here.
Yeah.
When you come up with a different design, because we have a question that's actually in the comment section. Alex Arnowitz is asking vinyl versions of Sitting Barely. Is that something, if that's brought up to you right now, is that something that's going to take a long time for it to actually come to fruition?
Well, that's a little unfair because Alex has been collecting stuff from me for a bit, and he knows I already have the 3D models for the Sitting Bear, and I've actually cast some of those in resin, and there's actually like miniature sitting ones that are, if you look far back enough on the Instagram, so like that one would be an interesting one. It would be just a matter of taking that model over to the factory and getting new molds and stuff made. It would be a few months long process to do something like that. But I think if it was starting from scratch, where there was, no 3D model, it was just like from sketch to product would take much longer than kind of starting out kind of mid process. At least the design idea stuff is done. So it'd be just purely getting it off to a factory and getting production going.
So I guess,
like I said, could take a couple months.
So as far as like you mentioned from start to finish, how long does that normally take for you?
For me, I can talk about the process with the skeleton bears, where again I had already had the 3D model, and that was something I made in a weekend and sat with it and then iterated on it a little bit here and there, and then by the next weekend I was like, this is the model I want to make. And then I printed it and went, oh, this is atrocious, I don't like this at all, let me rework it some more. And and then finally got the version that's what barely looks like now, that shape. And so it went through 2 iterations as far as what the figure looks like. And then from that, I had that model for like a long time before I ever approached sending one to a factory. But so if you're asking, say, like going to the factory with a model ready to go, it took, people were telling me it was going to take 6 months to a year. I don't know if I just lucked out and hit the factory at the right time, but I ordered stuff in the second week of September, and by Designer Con, which is mid to end November, I had all my stuff.
Wow.
And when I tell people that, it's pretty unheard of, so I think I might have just hit a weird lull at the factory or whatever, but it just worked out to where it was just a couple of months. And so, and I know that's not like the normal story, but I also think over there in China is where I got them made. They're getting better, faster, all the time. And so, and each factory is probably a little different, and depending on what they got going on. And then after that, where I had the second run of stuff that I did, which was all the colors after those initial 3, I told them I wanted to do it in probably early December. And I got everything mid-February, and that's with them kind of shutting down for Chinese New Year and coronavirus and all that insane stuff. So I couldn't tell you what the legitimate timeline was because there was a lot of shutdown. So
sure,
I think I've had a very unusual experience in how quick I've been able to get stuff. But that could be because of the size of the factory. You don't ever want to go ask somebody, are you just a small mom and pop shop, or because I don't want them to think like I'm talking about the quality of what they're doing. And
sure.
So it was really talking about how just impressed I was with what they did. So
that's awesome. So what made you choose this particular size for Barely?
I just felt like it feel good in the hand. I mean, I know 5.5 inches is like a weird a weird size. Honestly, some of it I kind of stumbled into in conversion from millimeters to inches, and I think I punched in a wrong number, so I thought it was going to be around 4 inches tall because that's like about what a pop is. And then when it came out, it was printing on the machine. I'm like, this is a lot bigger than it's 4 inches. It keeps printing and printing. And I remember at the first 3D printer I had, I was like holding a tape measure, going, "This is definitely printing over 4 inches tall." Yeah, so kind of I guess dumb luck. But when it came out, just holding it in my hand, it could just be the size of my hands. It just felt right. It felt like a good size. Same with the 3-inch mini resins that I've done. They'll just feel I can close my hand around them and have them in there. And sometimes I have one just in my pocket. I'll mess with it in my hand, and it's just the feel of it just felt good.
It's a great, the one we have here is a great size. As an example, for our shelf, I have a bunch of ghosts up there, and the larger ghosts are great and all, but they take up a lot of room. The 3-inch ghosts, which I actually like over the larger ones, they fit up there a lot better. But even better than that is this barely, because I feel like I could fit the entire set on the one shelf that I'm putting all of my tiny ghosts. I love the size of this thing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's tall, but it's pretty narrow. It
Yeah.
doesn't take up a lot of real estate, and so that's been kind of a nice, side thing to it. Just kind of feels like it just landed right.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say it was all planned out, but it was pretty just, like I said, just dumb luck in that everything, it was just based on what looked good to me. I don't have a background in design in this way, like making toy design, or really I didn't go to college. I took a community art class in community college. So a lot of it's just book reading and natural feel, and just if it doesn't feel right, do it over, erase it if I'm drawing, or nowadays on my iPad, but just going with feel. That's why I wouldn't tell people, they're like, "Oh, I can't this or I can't that." I'm like, well, if you don't try, of course you can't.
Right.
And that sounds kind of hokey and kind of grandfatherly to say, but it's like, it's kind of what my grandpa did instill in me. It's like, you don't say can't, say I haven't done it yet, or I haven't tried yet.
Yeah,
I don't know, I haven't worked it out. So I kind of like to think about things that way, just go for it.
Yeah, grandfathers have lived a long time. They know a lot of things from experience. So you should, instead of learning from your mistakes, learn from older people who have been through stuff.
You're literally considering that he's a grandfather right now.
No, he's smart. And he's learned from grandfathers.
So,
there you go.
We actually have 2 questions that came in. So from the chat section, Alex Arnowitz was the first question so far, and Alex is a good friend of ours as well. So it's cool that we all it's like the community is always like a small little family, and it seems like if you know somebody else who knows that person, right? So talking to you, we both find out we know Alex that way. So that's kind of cool. Dean Blockley asks, future licensed barely. Now, this is kind of a question that I had in my questions here, the sheet that I came up with. By the way, has a barely logo on the back, which is pretty cool, huh? Come on, guys.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, it's really production value. You're stepping up.
You got it. I have to do something. So future licensed Bareleys. You'd mentioned earlier the Skeletor, and I did see the Skeletor Barely, which is so dope. That's so badass, man. I would love to see that eventually be something that you can sell. So would you ever be able to go, or not would you ever be able to go, would you ever be interested in going in the licensed direction?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I like about it. The figure is that, even just drawing line work on it and doing things like that, you can make it take a different shape. I remember one of the first times that I really felt like it could be almost anything I wanted it to be, as I drew a Jake and Finn from Adventure Time. Ooh. One of each,
Yeah.
And the way I was able to just kind of draw around the face and the muzzle of the Barely, it kind of looked like human-esque. It didn't feel like a bear anymore. And I was like, oh, just where you place your lines and how you do certain things and what colors you use can really modify it. So I like that already, and there's tons of other pop culture stuff I love, so I'm not opposed to doing that, at all. should the right partnerships be there or the right avenues be open. It's fun. One of the first like custom barrelies I did where I like sculpted something and added to it was it's called Barely Smalls. It looks like Biggie with a crown on his head and a kooky sweater on.
I saw that. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, and so that's just I love that kind of stuff and just finding something, and there's an audience for it. People it connected with somebody. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because I did that because I wanted to do it. That was one of the first stickers I made for Barely, and then I was like, I want to make this sticker like a figure, and it connected with a number of people. And that's what's fun. I can do stuff that I like, and not everybody's gonna like all of it, but a lot of times somebody likes it, and that's cool.
It's the same with every other collectible, right? There's going to be like the Funko. I mean, well, the Funko Pop line, obviously, you can basically cater to anybody on the planet.
Yeah, it's fun.
So one thing I want to talk about. Let's talk about boxes for a second. The boxes for the Barely, something that Heather and I talked about in the video that we made on the new guy here. The box is brilliant. And the reason why the box is so brilliant, in my opinion, is the fact that you can literally use the same box over and over and you just put a sticker on it. Was that an idea because you were trying? I mean, this is a serious question. Were you trying to save money in some way, shape, or form? Was that like an avenue to do that?
Well, yes, after the fact. And I'll tell you why. So when I signed on with the factory to do the figures, in the first run, there were 3 colorways of it. And the project manager I talked to, they told me, yeah, you can have a different box for each one as far as like the printing, because she said we'll have the shape of the box already there, and we'll just switch out the file that we're printing, no problem. So I was like, sweet. And so I actually had how the box is black and the sides are white. The sides of the box were actually going to be the main color of what the figures, the bone colors were. So on the black and white one still would have been black and white because the bones are white. The blue and white, I think I lied right there. It would have been blue on the sides, and then the pink and green would have had green sides. But anyway, so that was the plan. And then partway through production, they reached out and said, okay, full transparency, I'm still a new project manager. You're like my second, figure. I misunderstood, and I told you for no cost we could do that. It would actually be X amount of cost. And I said, well, how about not? Let's just do a black and white box, and I'll put a sticker on the front. So yes, to save money, but not. It was after the fact.
Wow.
To save money.
Interesting.
And then it ended up working out, because it's fun to see them. I have them set up in my garage, and seeing all the boxes, but this little sticker, is what was the differentiator. It's just kind of a nice, consistent aesthetic. Kind of worked out.
I personally like it. I think it's really neat. In fact, when we had it, when we unboxed it, we didn't even record this. As soon as we pulled it out, that was the very first thing Heather said. She goes, "Wow, it has a little sticker on it. I wonder if all the boxes are like this." And sure enough, we looked back and they were like that. And I think that's awesome. So we have some questions that came in. I'm going to ask them.
Sure.
Kind of intermix into the questions that I have as well. Donnie Ward asks, are you printing with the same factory?
Printing at the same factory that I initially used?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Part of the new partnership with Bimtoy is that we're kind of moving everything to under one roof. So I was able to get my molds for the original Barely transferred over to the other factory. And so now everything will come out of the same factory that the Tiny Ghost stuff does.
Okay.
So,
well, on that same note, the Bimtoy note, we do have a question from Weird Flex, and they ask, how excited were you to join the Bimtoy family?
That was, so I don't have a problem with saying stuff that would be kind of embarrassing, I guess, for some people. I literally I was driving home from work on the freeway on the 101 here, and I got a text that popped up or a Facebook message from Reese O'Brien. I was like, why is this guy? Honestly, I was like, did I do something too close to like a tiny ghost something.
Oh
Is he gonna
no.
say, hey buddy, like this is cool, but don't do this anymore? I'm like, I can't think of what it is. I pulled off the freeway and I had to read it right then. I didn't want to be rush hour traffic cruising around trying to read my phone. So I pulled over and I opened up my phone and he just says, hey, I want to chat with you. I was like, okay, sure.
Oh
Is
no,
that like
so
getting
this
called
is
to the principal's office? Like,
Yes.
totally exhausted. And I said, yeah, I'm happy to talk this weekend. It was on a Friday afternoon. I was like, I'm happy to talk this weekend. I'm pretty flexible. Would you mind just kind of giving me a little bit of heads up about what it is so I can be in the right headspace? Trying to make sure I was okay. And he said, hey, I want to talk to you about working together. I'm like, whoa, what? Read that again. I want to talk. Okay. And then I just like literally in my car, I was like sitting there in the In-N-Out parking lot, and I was like, because it was really cool, somebody that I was really inspired by and kind of motivated this whole thing that I'm in the middle of now, by just being cool and sharing stuff out there. I know he was one of the people I said, hey, when you did this, what were like, where'd you get your supplies for this, or what kind of silicone did you use for your mold? And he was just really cool, short answers, but just like, oh, this. And it's like, great, cool. And so to come full circle, a couple years later, and have him just say, I'd love to talk to you about working together. I was super pumped because I don't know how long you've been following Tiny Ghosts, but a while back there were little animations that they would do sometimes when there was figure releases, and I did one of those as a fan, just like, hey, I'm just a fan. This is what I kind of do in my day job, and I thought I'd throw together this animation. And then it ended up chatting with him a little bit and had done a couple more of those animations. And so I was thinking initially, at first, he might be talking to me about wanting to do some like animation.
Oh.
So then when he wanted to talk about like working together, making toys, my mind was just,
Oh man, that's awesome.
So it was cool.
That has to be an incredible moment.
Yeah, completely.
So how do you come up with the names for the Bearlies?
I just kind of, if a pun is there, that's kind of best case scenario for me. And that's just my love of dad jokes and things. I don't know, not anything. I kind of want it to be descriptive a little bit, but no formula for it. This one I was going to release, the one you have on the table. I released, in June, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of the kickoff of summer, and it's kind of bright colors, and I feel like could be kind of summery. We'll call it Summer Fun, And then the one I'm going to release in August is, I showed pictures of it. I believe it's like a hot pinkish red and black, and I'm calling it Hot Heat.
Oh, that's cool.
That one looks dope.
Thanks. And so just the blue and white one, I called Ice. Ooh, super inventive.
You are very to the point. I like it.
Yeah, you gotta. I just maybe lack of creativity. I'm just tired. No, I forgot to order stickers for the summer fun, and realizing, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to get stickers for the boxes. I gotta order those and get them here. What am I going to call it? And then I said, well, if I'm going to order, I get a discount if I order another set. So what's going to be the one for the August one? Let me think of a name. And, and I asked my wife, like, how's this sound? And she's like, oh, okay, I guess. I was like, oh, great. So then I asked my kids, and they're, 8 and 5, and they're like, that's awesome. I'm like, okay. Seal of approval right there. I'll go with it. So, yeah.
Aww. Tristan from Top Pops has a very interesting question, and I don't want you to feel uncomfortable or say anything you don't know if you can or cannot say, so
sure.
You can say no. But are you able to have full creative freedom now that you're partnered with Bimtoy?
Yep, 100%.
That's
I
awesome.
still 100% own Barely, and Reese has part of the deal was he's offering, he's kind of become a mentor and kind of offering some, when I say, hey, this is what I want to do, but I'm not sure, what would you change? And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And so he'll just give me notes and change it. But if I'm like, I'm 100% with this, this is exactly what I want to do. then no questions asked, you know. And but I've told them, I said, even if I come in just like 100% convinced, if you're like, hey, did you notice this like little thing? Because a lot of times you get tunnel vision and you don't notice,
Sure.
you know, stuff sometimes. And so he's just been super cool to work with in that regard. The guys at Bimtoy, they're just, you know, they love toys, and they told me part of why they wanted to work together was because they liked what I was already doing. So don't change what I'm doing, and that was their encouragement. And they just want to kind of help me open my view a little bit, you know, because there's a little kind of more opportunity rather than just kind of funding everything out of my pocket and taking from one figure, trying to just keep some stuff going. You know, I can think more about like, oh, cool, could we do shirts? Could we do stickers? You know, some people ask for patches, like, you know, different pins, different things. So just having kind of a place to bounce some of that stuff off of and think about being more strategic, because the Arseny and Joe over at Bimtoy, they're great at the business side of everything, you know, and so it's kind of nice not being in a bubble anymore, but feeling like I'm not trying to like meet any quarterly goals or any quota of this, or don't design this or do design this. They've kind of left me to do that part of it. It's been really fun, and it's freedom that I was kind of like, for real, like, you really? So when you say do whatever, you mean like whatever, or like whatever, kind of. So they've been really a cool experience.
That's cool.
Awesome. I figured that would be the answer because I don't know everybody, but when we talked to Reese, he sounded very laid back and just very into people's art in general.
Yeah.
So I thought that you would have something awesome like that to say.
Now,
Cool, yeah.
My question kind of attached to that, and I don't know if you can answer this or not. So again, this can be I can't talk about that. Are your barely available is going to be sold on the Bimtoy website?
Yeah,
They are.
I'm actually, and some people, some collectors have taken notice already and reached out to me about it. But all the pins and stickers I had already on the site, I've taken down so that I could box everything up and ship it to the guys.
Okay.
And it'll start. There'll be a kind of a place on the site for that. So really, Bimtoy will be kind of the home for barely, alongside of all the awesome stuff they've already got going with Tiny Ghost and Lords of Abaddon and Waldegeist and all that stuff too. Champus. So
that's cool. So do you know if the Paradorable Society stuff will work with Barely?
Joe answered that in the group that it will kind of be this part of that Paradorable.
Oh, yes, awesome.
Membership.
Awesome. That makes me happy.
Yeah, one thing I'll say too before I forget is I will still have my site up, because sometimes I totally have the freedom to do, if I want to keep doing one-off resins or small micro runs of resin figures, and that's where I'll release those.
Cool.
And I'll keep posting up through Instagram. If it's just like a single one-off, I'll probably drop them randomly on Instagram. But if I do like a series of, hey, I'm gonna do these 4 or 5 figures, you know, maybe a little small run, I'll do them through there. So probably anything handmade, I'll continue to do through my site, just because that's frankly a lot easier than trying to get it all up on the Bimtoy site when it's just like a single run or a single piece, you know, or just a handful of pieces. So that still will be out there a little bit.
Do you do like custom work? Can people reach out to you and have like a custom Barely created?
I have. Right now, my stance is commissions are currently closed just because there's a lot of other stuff in the works and
too busy.
You know, just busyness of life, working from home, summer for the kids, you know. So right now I'm not currently, but I do, when people ask, I say, yeah, just let me, I'm not doing them currently right now, but feel free to share with me your idea, because if somebody comes to me with an idea that I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that, and it would be for them, you know. I'm never going to take someone's idea and be like, no, sorry, I can't do that, and then just like do something and make some money off it. But if somebody asks me for a custom that I'm like, that's a killer idea, I'll do it, you know, right away. But for right now, by and large, I'm not doing any commission stuff right now. Just stuff most recently for a raffle for Black Lives Matter charities. But other than
Actually,
that, right now,
I did want to get to we will get to that because that's something I did
cool.
want to talk to you about. And I guess
Yeah.
I'll get back to you with my Thanos barely idea later. Because Thanos is my favorite character.
Nice.
So we have another question here, and this kind of ties in yet with another question that I had on my list.
Okay.
Do you expect to do any non-barely characters a part of like the barely universe?
Yeah, well, I have another figure right now that I've released in resin. It's called a Grankle. My 8-year-old named that, and they're little,
That's awesome.
It's like a smiley, kind of little. It's got little horns, like a little demon looking thing, but it's like super grin, smile on the face, just very simple shapes. I've done those. That's kind of one of the things I asked, the guys at Bimtoy is, so is this like barely and that's it? Like, what do you guys think? And they said, no, just we're investing in you. So what that says to me is there's options. There's nothing in the works currently, but that doesn't mean there won't be someday. But so it's kind of me as an artist in part of the Bimtoy family, So, and whatever makes sense, along the way.
Do you
Did that
have
answer your question?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Do you have anybody that helps you design the barely since the start, or has it always just been you?
It's just been me. I have a really good friend I work with who's a phenomenal artist that like he's kind of an idea guy, and so he'll help. Sometimes I'll take some designs to him and say, I'm gonna do this. What do you think? And he's like, that's cool. But what if you switch this color? So he's giving me that kind of like, so I'm not designing in a bubble all the time. Like, is this just a dumb idea or does this make sense? And he'll give me honest feedback. But as far as doing all the designs, painting them, anything that's not been a custom out there is just all I've done myself.
That's cool. Okay. Yeah, it made me wonder. The reason why I asked that question is because I noticed that you had posted a picture. I guess it was like one of your kids, like painting. It looked like he was painting a barely.
Uh-huh.
So it made me wonder: did your children, do they ever want to be involved in this in any way? Do they want to design their own and all that kind of stuff?
They like to do so. Some of the 3-inch resins that I've done, you can see them on Instagram, and have been like the He-Man series ones,
Yes.
or Barely's of the Ursaverse is what it's called instead of Masters of the Universe, and figured out a really cool way to do kind of an open and closable blister on a card. Thanks to my friend Bianca, is Bean Large in Art. I'm just going to throw that out there because she's been a phenomenal creative and a caster and awesome mold maker.
How do we spell that, just so people can go and check her out? It's all one word?
It's BEAN. I believe it's underscore Largent, LARGENT underscore art.
Awesome.
I believe. Let me look it up because I would really hate to like send people the wrong place.
That way people can go and check her stuff out.
And she's made some of my molds for me for stuff I'm doing because like I started out doing my here we go, BEAN underscore LARGENT underscore ART.
Excellent.
Yeah, but she's just killing it, and she's awesome. She does sculpting, casting, molding, and I was making my molds, but I'm just like, man, the stuff that she's doing is so cool and so clean. And so I reached out to her, and she's like, I actually do that stuff, for other people for hire and stuff. And so she's done a number of my molds for me because it's just at the end of the day, I get better cast when I do my cast because she made the mold. So I tell anybody, I'm like, if she's got room in her schedule to do it, hire her to do it. She's
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. But what was my kids. So I figured out how to kind of make little figures on cards and things. And so my oldest, he's like, oh, I want one of my own. And I was like, well, you want me to make you one or do you want to make one? So he sat down and he drew his own backer card and he got them all masked up and he cast his own barely and he painted it and wanted to put glow in the dark pigments in it. And then he's got it hanging up on his wall in a little card with a blister on it hanging up there. And he wrote like 1 of 1 on it.
Aww.
That's
So
awesome.
that's fun stuff, yeah. So then they like to paint some of their own. They both got both of my boys have a couple of different Bearlies that they've painted, resin ones, and then some. They each have a 5.5-inch vinyl that I had a couple of blinks, and they each painted one of those. So
That's awesome.
it's fun to see it, but on some level, it's like, oh, it's just my dad's hobby. It's not like it's cool. For them in a different way.
Do they collect toys themselves?
My oldest one does, because I used to take him around with me to go like hunting for stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I want something, and it's been stuff he was really into Tsum Tsums, the little rubber ones they had for a long time, all the Marvel ones, and then he's been kind of particular about what he gets, because he knows it's kind of like he doesn't have like an income, so when he has money to spend, he's kind of a little particular about what he gets, and so like when they had that Stitch from Lilo and Stitch as a pop in the ride, the little spaceship or car, or I forget what it was.
Yeah.
He's like, I have to have that, and he wanted the Target exclusive Stormtrooper, the red one. Like he got that, just different stuff, that he's gotten. So he's probably more of the collector, and he has a special shelf we hung up above his bed where he's kind of got his stuff that
that's awesome.
keeps track of, and he cleans it and he does stuff to it. So
yeah, I know the feeling, because my son is exactly the same way. Unfortunately, now he's really liking Hot Toys, so that's kind of becoming a problem. So do your family and friends, do they support you in any way when it comes to like this, like making any of this stuff, or like how are they supportive in all of this? Or do you have family that's like, what are you doing? This, at the beginning rather, was it like, oh, this is bull crap. What are you doing? This is so stupid.
No, they're super supportive. My mom still wants to pay for every Bearly that she gets, and I say, okay, but I'll charge you double. So I don't she doesn't, she wants to pay and be supportive that way. But of course, I can't charge my mom for stuff. But my wife is super supportive. My kids, my extended family, my my grandma, everybody's really into it. My friends at work, a lot of them, I've just kind of kept a lot of it like kind of quiet, and I don't, I have some of the Bearlies on my desk at work when we were actually working at our office, and people would ask questions about it. I'm like, oh, that's what I do in my free time, and they're like, oh, you like buy these? And I'm like, oh, I made them. And they're like, what? And then it kind of word of mouth kind of traveled around. So there's a little bit of people that I work with that know kind of about it, or started following the account, because I have a separate, like a personal Instagram and then kind of a Bearly one. So it's not all overlapped. And so a lot of my work friends know my personal one, and then they had no idea I did this other thing over here on the side. But people who found out have been really supportive.
That's
and
cool.
Like my family too, yeah.
You never know how family members or friends are going to act. That's so stupid. What are you doing? You know what I mean?
I think it would be a little more of a hard sell if this is all I was doing. It would be more of like you think you can pay your bills doing this? But because of the way it evolved, and my day job's, I feel pretty solid in that, and have the if it's okay to talk about, I work for LinkedIn in my day job.
Oh, okay, cool.
At the learning division, it used to be called lynda.com, doing online education. Now it's called LinkedIn Learning.
Okay.
So, it's a pretty solid day job.
That's
working
cool.
for a larger company. So it kind of afforded me the freedom to kind of play around with this hobby,
That's awesome.
And so I have just nothing but the most respect for creatives who are doing this full time to pay their bills and just hustling in a crazy way to get that done. And it's inspiring watching those that are doing this like as their day to day,
Absolutely, yeah. I can't imagine going through life and trying to survive on your own artwork. I mean, that has to be a tough gig. but it must
Yeah.
be a very fulfilling gig along the way.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean? Especially if it cashes in at some point, it becomes very popular. That has to be the best feeling in the whole goddamn world, because you're like, hey guys, look, I proved you wrong. You thought I was
Yeah,
some dumb a-hole,
for
you
sure.
know?
Yeah.
So barely drops. When these things drop, I noticed that when I tried to buy this one, the website was going haywire, and you were posting, and you were like, hey,
Oh,
you know, the
I lost
website's...
your audio.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Oh, now I can again.
Okay.
I lost you after you said barely drops.
Okay, so
And then,
the barely drops. So
yeah.
I noticed that when this one dropped, that there were some
Yeah.
issues and stuff with the website. Aside
Yeah.
even from that, now I'm talking about that as well. But how stressful is all the barely drops and things that happen? You know, people get angry if they can't get them and stuff like that. How stressful is that for you as a creator and as the, I guess, the
Sure.
seller?
Yeah. I just really want to do, I'm doing this so I can share a little bit of something with other people, and hopefully if they enjoy it, that's bonus. Like if they want it in part of their life, it's super cool. And I feel like a lot of people who've collected for the last couple of years now while I've been doing this have become friends, and they're still supporting and finding friends that believe in what you do and want to pay you for it. It's kind of well, it's not kind of encouraging, it's really encouraging. And so part of it is when I'm doing these drops and selling, I know I want to get people the figures in people's hands as seamlessly as I can, because it means a lot that they're supporting. And so all my other releases before this one have really, the stress has been, are these gonna sell?
Right.
I took my 200 figures to Designer Con. I had pretty successful time there. It was my first con to do as a seller or a vendor, and then but I came home with a bunch still and put them on the site, and they sat there the rest of November, December,
Oh no.
January, February. Sell one or two here and there. It was super cool. I'm like, yeah, I figured it'll take me 6 to 8 months to sell through the 200 pieces. And but then what really kind of started getting me kind of on a few more people's radar was at Designer Con, Plastic Empire. Dustin over
Ooh,
there
yeah.
asked me, hey, could we get an exclusive for Emerald City Comic Con? I said, well, yeah, I already have my next order in with the factory, but here are some of the colorways, and one of them was this green colorway that I said that would be probably good for Emerald City. We can give it a name like Emerald Exit. I just that was like, here's what we'll call it, and it worked out for him, and so they were posting about it, and they sold the 100 of those on
Wow.
their site, and because of everything landing the way it did with the coronavirus and the shutdowns and stuff, I ended up having my own green colorway that was 2 weeks later, I think. And so it was like two figures that dropped kind of within a short time of each other. And so kind of some people that missed out on the one on their site were able to pick up the one on my site. But still, it took, 10 hours to sell out. Then the anniversary one I did, there was a little more traction, and that one sold out in about 4 hours. And then after the anniversary one, which was in April, we did the announcement with Bimtoy stuff just before this summer fun one. And so I'm calling it the Bimtoy effect on what happened there. And people just were very excited to try to get it. And so much so that a few thousand people all went to my site at once and just
God.
crashed my consumer level WordPress installation, like tore it to pieces. And so I'm sitting there just like, my jaws is on the ground. I'm like, so much so it broke it that I was like having a hard time even getting into the back end to shut it off.
Oh my
so
God,
it just
dude.
stopped. Yeah, so it was I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because it was a nice problem to have that there was that much interest.
Absolutely.
But on the same side, I literally had someone email me and included the words, "You ruined my life." And I was like,
Is that so?
My gosh. And then a couple of days later, they emailed me again and said, I'm super sorry. I was just like freaking out. I was impassioned about it, wanted to get it. Obviously you didn't ruin my life. I was like, okay, good. I'm glad that's the case. But, but it's pretty intense. And, as much as I will say, I love the passion that collectors have and how excited they get about collectibles. Sometimes it has an interesting other side on that coin where it can get pretty intense and people can get pretty aggressive about their collecting. So the passion shows itself out in different ways sometimes.
So do you ever stress if the barely is actually going to be popular or a hit? Because you had just mentioned that it took a while to sell some of the past ones. Did you notice any that were like almost instantly a hit for you, that were more popular than others? And did you stress over the fact that if I release this color, are people really going to dig it or not?
I don't know if I stressed about it. Obviously, I want to do stuff that's appealing. I figure if I look at it and I go, I like this color, and I show my wife who's into like different types of, aesthetic things, and she's all, oh, that's a neat color. Usually her words, that's cute. I'm like, okay, there's that kind of satisfies. And if my kids look at it and go, oh, that's cool, I just try to make sure it's not like, oh, those colors look bad together. And then just finding, I haven't done anything that glows vinyl wise, but some of the colors shine really nice under black light.
Oh yeah.
And finding those fluorescent colors that the factories can use, knowing that they'll get that real nice pop. People like that kind of stuff. I like that kind of stuff. I'm people too, and so I don't so much stress about it as I make sure, to be honest, some of the stuff I kind of check, some of the colors and make sure it's not unintentionally aligned with anything I don't agree with or believe in, that I'm not, just because you'll hear about it, so it's almost made me a little bit nervous that I might like do that. But then at the end of the day, I don't spend a lot of time investing in that. I was pleasantly surprised when a friend of mine reached out and said, hey, do you know those colors for the summer fun are in alignment with the trans pride flag? I was like, I didn't, but that was a cool like happenstance,
That's really cool.
There was an audience of people who were like, this barely is going to mean this to me because of this. And I was like, sweet. That's been one of the funnest parts of it, is that I can do what I like, something I'm interested in, something I think looks good, and somebody can put their own meaning to it. And that's kind of what art is, right? Like people interpreting what it is. And like once it releases my hands, it's not mine anymore, I feel like, and it belongs to the collector, the community, and they can ascribe meaning to it as they see fit. And that's kind of cool.
Absolutely. That is cool.
I love that.
I love that too. Do you so this is going to be this is probably going to be the hardest question of all the questions that we have tonight. Do you have a favorite barely?
Do I have a favorite barely? Yes. And I don't have to tell you what it is. Just kidding.
We want to know.
Yeah. Well, my favorite one, favorite design has been so far the Barely Dead black and white with the red heart. I might have a new favorite in one of the ones that's going to be coming out, because we've got that, that stuff's kind of in production now. So I kind of know what's coming, which is pretty cool. I'm really excited about that stuff. But I would say, as far as like an actual, like in my personal collection, favorite barely is, I have one of the original resin ones that I did with glow, to where it looks like it's the bones and everything. I hand drew a Barely Dead, and the bones are all white and the body's black. But when the lights go off, the bones glow blue.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
And then since the body's all blacked out, when it's glowing in the dark, you just see this blue skeleton like glowing. That's probably my favorite one that I have and have kept. And I made a couple of those. So there are some people that have them. Somebody was just selling theirs in the Bimtoy marketplace the other day. That exact style one, but that's my favorite.
Cool. Oh man, I can't wait to
so
see what you come out with as far as like glow in the dark, because there are going to be so many neat things that are going to be released. Hopefully we can see some stuff like that in the future. I'd love to have a glow in the dark barely, because that's like our favorite variant when it comes to Funko Pops and everything else. Like glow in the dark always is just a cool piece. And then I like the fact that you have a paint. The paint jobs are similar to like a black light. I think that's cool. Because that's really stand out too. And what kind of brings that to the forefront of my mind is that we just got our hands. We released a video today on the Funko Pops, the Marvel Pops that are black light Marvel Funko Pops. And originally, my thoughts were, oh, here's another cash grab by Funko, another, BS cash grab. And we had them in hand today, and they just look so amazing under a black light. So much so that I kind of want to get some lights to put like near them and like put them on a shelf somewhere and have some black lights so they shine all the time.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. It's kind of making me think about the barely availables that have that same kind of color influence, I guess. Now I want some barely availables that I can put under a black light,
like that pink and green one.
Yeah. I really want that now.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Thanks.
So do you have any this is a question that I was digging deep in the back of my mind of questions that could somewhere maybe a little bit be unnerving for you. But do you have any nightmare stories trying to get the Barely created? Any nightmare stories of like the creation aspect of Barely?
I think it was a little unnerving getting the first vinyls here, because when I first signed on with the factory to do those ones, and it was with the goal of having a table at Designer Con, and they assured me no problem, you'll have them in hand a week or two before Designer Con, no problem. And then there was a little snafu with how they put the print on one of them. And she showed me, goes, oh, here, we're ready to send them out. And I said, well, you haven't shown me really any turnarounds or any proof. Like, I haven't seen what the print looks like. She goes, oh, you'll love it here. And I was like, oh, you missed this detail on the bear. I need that to be there.
Oh, no.
She's like, okay, yeah, we'll fix it. I'm like, but I'll still have the stuff in time, right? She goes, maybe.
Oh, no.
So literally, I think, was it 2 nights before Designer Con, everything showed up, and my wife helped me stay up and pull 200 figures out of the boxes and put stickers on on all the boxes and get them all loaded up. So I had 2 days before Designer Con, which was like a day before I went down there. So that was really tense, and it worked out. But so that was probably the most like nightmarish kind of moment that just was like, because literally if I didn't have those figures, I would have had a pretty sparse, like that was like the linchpin of what I was going to set up my table, was like, I'm launching the vinyl figures here at Designer Con. There's an exclusive colorway, and then other than that, I had some enamel pins and some stickers and a couple of like handmade resins. I didn't have a lot to
go on
if those didn't show. But, and so me being new to all this and pretty naive, and they're just like, guarantee it'll be there. I was like, what happened to guarantee? They're like, nothing's really a guarantee. I was like, okay, file that away for later.
Oh my gosh. So, I'm just picturing like what was running through your head, like you just sitting at this huge convention with like stickers, 5 or 6 bears, and some pins.
Oh my god.
I was like sitting like, what am I gonna do? This is gonna be just nothing. And then people were messaging me, I'm so excited, your first vinyls. It's like, how many of the Decon colorway? I was like, then when people showed up and I had to say, actually nothing. None of them.
Oh my gosh.
Want me to, and people were telling me, just do a pre-sale. Take money and take stuff. And I'm like, that just didn't feel good. Like the idea of saying, sorry, but I'll take your money and I'll ship you one later. I'm like, that just didn't feel right. So I was really glad it worked
Yeah,
out.
especially not for your first, like, like a premiere.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, when I had set the year before when I went to at DCon, I remember walking by an artist table and there was a gentleman just sitting there drawing on a sketch pad, and he had a sign in front of him that said, "None of my boxes showed up." So he
Oh
sat
man.
there at his table just drawing sketches with nothing to show
Oh.
other than stuff he was just sketching during the con. And I was like, immediately I was like, that's gonna be me. I'm gonna have to make
Yeah.
a sign that says my stuff didn't show.
Oh, that's gonna be the worst feeling
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. So, but it worked out. It was really a fun experience.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You got incredibly lucky. I would have been
For sure.
so freaking stressed.
Yeah.
Whew.
Indeed.
So Dean Blockley asked about, and this is a question I also had, so it all kind of works in pretty well. With the Barely character, who would you choose if it were a cartoon? Who would you choose to play his voice?
Oh man, to be Barely's voice. That's a good question. I mean,
does he even have a voice? Does he just kind of growl?
I picture him having a voice.
He's very
I think it would be.
human-y.
Go for it. What were we gonna say?
I said he's very human-y, like he stands up
Yeah.
like a human. I
Yeah.
bet he walks like one too.
Yeah.
He
I
doesn't
feel
do
like
the all fours thing.
part of me wants to say, John Goodman, just because of the whole, Monsters Inc., Sully, big,
Yes.
that,
Oh,
but,
I love that.
yeah, but then that's kind of like been done before, and then I feel like there's, something, you guys ever see that show, This Is Us?
I have before, but I don't know any of
Okay.
the characters or anything, so not enough.
Yeah.
To know.
Well, okay, so here's a reference you might know this guy from. You remember Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
Yes.
And there's that guy that kept running through the ringer, Taserface.
Yes.
Yes.
So he's the guy who plays Taserface is in that show This Is Us.
Oh.
And his last name is Sullivan, and I can't think of his first name. It's escaping right now, but his voice, but in that Taserfacey kind of voice, that growly, like, I'm Taserface,
Yeah.
but like not aggressive, like growly because it has to be, but like kind of just like very even. So if that even makes any sense at all,
Yeah.
I'm gonna blame it on being hungry. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's cool. John Goodman, that's a good
Oh,
that's a good
I
option.
lost your audio.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You can hear
kind
me?
of.
I was saying John Goodman's a good choice, in my opinion. I can't really think of anybody. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who I think that Barely's.
I've just totally lost your voice.
Oh, can you hear me?
I hear you say, "Can you hear me?" But then you said like
That's
John
it?
Goodman's, and then you were gone.
Oh, that's okay. So I'll try to slow down because maybe I'm talking too fast.
Maybe. I got you now.
I don't think that's a thing, but okay, okay, Chris.
Were you talking too fast? I said John Goodman's a good choice.
Yeah.
And I can't think of somebody because I thought more along the lines that he just had a growl. I didn't really picture him with a voice personally. Like with the Tiny Ghost, I thought of Danny DeVito. Remember I was mentioning that? And I mentioned the Abominable Toys Chomp sounded like Jack Black. But for this guy, he just, I don't know, there's more of a growl. But I like now that you said John Goodman, I do like John Goodman. That's a good choice.
Nice.
Let's see.
Or you can go Patton Oswalt or something. The other side of the.
That's it.
Voice.
Patton Oswalt. Yes, I like that one actually. So Michael Petrino or actually no, we have another one. Ness asks a question: Do you work in peace in a studio, or are there distractions?
Well, a lot of times it's either after my kids have gone to bed, so it's kind of peaceful. Out in the garage. But a lot of times, like on the weekends, now that it's summertime too, when the kids are out kind of playing, riding their bikes, up and down with the neighbor kids. I'll set up shop in the driveway in a chair with a little. I have this rolling table with paints, and I'll sit there, or if I have my markers that I use to doodle on it. So it depends, you know. I feel like you can get such energy from those some kids running around and just the life in the neighborhood. And sometimes I'll be sitting chatting with my neighbors because they're out there with their kids and, you know, doing stuff then. So I think certain things kind of require that focus and that quiet, and then other things I think it brings that good energy by having others around. So all of it, I guess.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Michael Petrino asks, would Tiny Ghost and Barely be villains or heroes?
Or would they be like at odds with each other?
Well, exactly. That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
I picture they. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe they're just kind of like the C-3PO R2-D2, you know, kind of duo, just getting stuff done. So depending on where you stand, they're either your heroes or your villains, right? Because if you're on one side, they're your. So I guess it just depends on your perspective.
I like that.
We have a question from Brian Barrick. He's asking, are you planning on partnering with anyone for any special releases? As an example, for a cause.
Well, I think that right now, and I'm assuming you're saying cause like CAUSE, not cause the. Okay, cool.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, for a cause. Yeah. I think I mentioned a little bit earlier the independent artist for Black Lives Matter. Right now, I'm done a couple of pieces for that. They have a really cool raffle going on. Would encourage people to go check out their Instagram, which is IA4 BLM, and they also have a Facebook page. And what they've asked, there's a number of artists who are donating pieces to it, and for every $5 you donate to a charity that I believe it's the charities they have listed on their site, you send a receipt, and for every $5 you donate to the charity, you get a ticket to put towards any of the pieces that are being raffled off.
That's awesome.
I know like Reese is doing sound like he's doing like a package where it's like this, you can win all this art from him. I'm donating a couple pieces, as well as I actually have a few of my early release bareleys that I kind of kept for myself, but I feel like this is a worthy thing to be a part of and a charity to give this towards. So a couple of those will go and be available for people to put one of their raffle tickets towards to win.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'll have like the pink and green electric. I'll have one of those that'll be up for the raffle. Just trying to do things that I think will be nice for people to have in their collection, but also motivate them to donate money in a way that they might have maybe they're already going to donate money, but it's nice to get like a little piece of art too or something,
We have a question from Jenny R. Are you single?
That's my wife.
I knew that I figured it was. That's why I had to ask.
Married to the wonderful and beautiful Jenny R. Who tolerates me and my many idiosyncrasies. Happily married.
I was about to say, it looks like you know this person because there's a kissy face and a winky face.
I was expecting.
I'm glad it's your wife.
Yeah. I'm like, that person's pretty forward.
I was expecting after that an ASL. Remember ASL?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Christina Cooper asks, do you any non-skeletal variants coming our way?
Hi, Christina, and Damien, if you're there, too.
Yes,
that's...
Damien is, too.
I have some really cool stuff that is... I think for now, after this August release of the skeleton, we kind of putting that on the shelf for a little bit. And there will be a number of kind of editions of one. Not editions of one. Kind of one-offs that are like, not necessarily tied in a series, different variants. But there also will be some stuff that is going to be some designs that are part of a series
Cool.
that are going to be coming out. So yeah, there's a couple really cool things coming that are kind of setting this the Barely Dead on the shelf for a little while. And also we're going to be having blanks to sell. A lot of people have asked when we're going to do blanks, and that's coming as well. So
cool.
So then people can inspire us with their creativity around what Barely could look like.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. I bet you're really excited to see what other people are going to do with your creation.
Yeah, I actually have. So when Decon was, before it was going to, most likely be postponed, I have sent 25 or 26 blanks out to artists who are going to put their spin on the figure, and there's going to be a custom show. So if now not at Decon, I'll do kind of a virtual show, kind of like the Mothership Gallery has been doing with their toy shows, and different galleries have done like online shows. So there'll be a online show with a number of really awesome artists who are participating. And I'm going to be posting the flyer up again soon, but if people want to go look at the flyer on my Instagram, there's one it's called Barely a Custom. That's the show.
Cool.
And so yeah, there's 25 or 26 artists who are going to be doing pieces for it.
Awesome.
Wow, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
Me too.
So Kimmy Barnes asked a question that I also had on my list here. Are we any expectations of a larger Barely?
Gosh, I don't know. It's definitely something I've thought about. That wonderful individual I mentioned earlier, Bean Largent Art, Bianca. She and I have talked about making me a 2-foot tall Barely that will go on my booth. So
yeah.
if only that one, possibly, it'd be great to see it in that kind of form factor, 2 feet tall. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but there's no plans to make anything that large. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Super Plastic and the Jankies and stuff, but they had on their site like a 5-foot tall Gugimon you could buy.
Yes.
But they were like $5,000.
Yeah, I saw.
You know what I mean? So there's not probably a huge market for a $5,000 collectible, but they're selling some. So
absolutely, yeah.
But
not from my pockets, at least.
Okay, so just a couple more questions, then we'll get into our 3 random questions. Do you own every single Barely available release? Do you take one every time you get in the new Barely availables?
Yes.
Excellent.
I
That's
do.
Awesome.
Oftentimes I hold a couple aside to do things like a giveaway, or I would hate for someone to get one in the mail and have it just be destroyed. And so I want to make sure collectors are taken care of, but the only one that I only ever had one of was the Emerald City one that Plastic Empire did. I just kept one. So they took 99 and I had one.
Wow.
Other than that, I've had a couple of each, and I've been able to either do a custom on it, like embellish on it, or replace. Actually, I don't think I've had to replace any. Everybody's, luckily, I shouldn't have said that. Now something's going to happen with the next one. But I keep at least one.
That's awesome.
So I have two more questions. So the second of the two is, or the first of the two rather, what is the most special collector's piece that you own? So out of all of your collector's items that you own, or all the pieces like that are behind you, what is one that stands out the most for you? Like your one favorite thing. If you had to get rid of everything and keep that one, what would it be?
Gosh.
That's a tough
What's
question,
your favorite
I know.
child, right? Oh,
yeah. You can't ask a collector that. Oh my goodness.
I mean, I think the answer could change from day to day.
Yep.
But I would say of all the stuff I have, there were a couple Funko Pops that really started me back down this avenue when I was walking down Target and saw somebody making a collectible of some stuff I was into, and it was a Batman. And it's back before the licensing, I guess, changed, where the original DC ones were still bobbleheads like the Marvel pops, but now all the DC ones are rigid. You know, they're all connected. So my Batman, Superman, and Green Lantern all are wobblers still, and
Oh,
then a
wow.
Chewbacca I picked up on the same trip because I have Batman and Chewbacca are my like my guys. You know
They're your
that
dudes.
that's have all lifelong. I've got my old Batman and Chewbacca Pez from when I was a kid in the '80s. The flip, little flip Pez dispensers. Lots of just out of view up here. There's tons of Chewbacca toys, and you can probably see. For a long time, I went really hard on all the Batman pops until they just made it known that they were just going to keep making them. But I've got probably 80 different Batman pops.
Wow.
Lots of other Batman toys. But yeah, so probably the Batman or Chewbacca pops is what I would choose to keep because that got me back into like kind of the road to where I am now. So that'd be just a good. If I had to let it all go, I'd keep those reminders of kind of what reignited my collectible stuff. I take that back. I just changed my mind. See?
Look how fast that happened.
It doesn't change by the day with you. It changes by the second.
Right? Truth in advertising. I would probably keep this guy.
That guy's awesome.
What is that?
It is something that I got when I very first got. I started my business with my friends that I had years and years ago, and it went on my desk, and it's from a company called, oh gosh, I don't even think they're around anymore. Tokyo. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Darn it. I can find out, and you guys can share it out if people are interested. But they were animators, and they changed the animation, took one of their animated characters and made a toy out of it. And I think that kind of put in the back of my head that this is something that would be kind of cool. Tokyo Plastic. It says it right on the bottom. 2005 Tokyo Plastic. And that was probably one of the first like little vinyl plastic toys that I bought. And then a few years later those pops. But so just change my answer. I'll just keep changing it.
That's okay.
Don't wait too long, or I'll have to change it to something else.
5 minutes from now, I'll ask you again.
There you go.
I'm very curious. So the next question, I think this is the final question.
Okay.
What advice do you have for future toy creators?
I think invest in the community of, whether that be the people who are collecting what you make or other creators. I think we're in such a unique place that didn't exist a decade ago or even less than that, where we have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all these social ways to get in touch. That's just kind of been the real big thing for me, and this is the friendships and the connections. While I'm doing this, talking to the both of you, and you're asking me questions here, I have other creators who I've made friendships with who are watching. I can tell they're watching because they're answering, you should have said this, or some this guy Resin Rookies, when he goes by on Instagram, he's like, you should have Mr. T voice barely, stuff like that. Super fun kind of responses and answers. But that just, it's the community. So I would just tell people, invest in the community, invest in other creators. It's been big for me not to like kind of hoard secrets of how I do what I do. If somebody asks me, I can't think of any time I haven't shared how I do something I do, where I found out, what YouTube video I watched. And for me, that's helped me kind of stay motivated in a way. Because if I have to like hoard it and say, oh, it's a super secret, like I'm not going to tell anybody, I just feel like I would lock myself into being a one-trick pony that focused on that thing that I'm not telling anybody about. Or if you share it and get the knowledge out there on how to do stuff, it kind of pushes the art form a little bit more
Sure.
too. I have no problem telling people what kind of resins I use, what 3D printer I have, what kind of paints I use, am I airbrushing, am I hand painting, what clear coat I'm trying to use, and which one I don't want to use anymore because it failed miserably. Because if I can save somebody else from that heartache,
Another
you paint a piece and
grandfather
get it all
thing.
nice, and then it's nasty. What was that?
Another grandfather thing. You're learning. You're
There you
making the
go.
mistakes for them.
Yep. I love it.
I take it back. I
So-
think I am calling him a grandfather.
I'll take it. Some days
It's
I wake up
definitely a
and I feel like I
compliment.
should be. It's like, oh, I'm just getting old.
Yeah, so the reason why I asked that question, I'm sorry I had to walk away for a second. The reason why I asked
Sure.
that question is because I've sort of developed a character myself, and it's something that I've been trying to. I'm working with a couple of friends of mine to kind of get something off the
Mhm.
ground. So if you see questions come in on Instagram from me, you'll know that more or less it's going to be about my trials and tribulations of what I'm trying to do. So
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Fire away.
I'm really excited about it because it's a character that I
Cool.
really happen to love.
Yeah, he can grandfather you.
My God, will you
There
leave
you
this
go.
guy alone? Heather's calling you a granddad the
No,
whole time.
I love it. I love it. He's very, very smart, and he knows how to,
Give advice.
Yes. I like that.
Well, thank you.
Heather's being so complimentary tonight. She never is this nice to me, by the way. I just want you to know that.
Well,
So
it's
we-
different. With
She
you.
sees behind the curtain with you though. She knows. She's in there in the trenches.
Believe me, what's behind the curtain is not good. I promise you that. So we have 3 random questions, okay? And these are questions. So typically Heather comes up with the random questions, but tonight I decided I'm going to come up with the random questions.
And he said they're very good, so
They are very good.
we'll see.
They are very good.
And just before you jump into that, I
Sure.
just got hollered out by, you guys know Mon, right? The toy Mon,
Mon.
the little monster. I thought you talked about them.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
they
did.
just called me Grandpa Barely. So that sticks. I'm blaming you, Heather.
Oh my God, Heather's gonna be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So my
Same.
three random questions. We're gonna start off the first one, and what's gonna happen is just
Okay.
kind of a round table kind of thing. Now, whoever wants to go first can go first. Usually, we allow the guests just to go first if you want to blast out. What makes you the happiest?
Makes me the happiest. You're talking in general, right? Life in general.
In life in general,
However you
whatever
wanna take
makes
it.
you the happiest.
My family, my wife and kids.
That's
like
awesome.
I'd be lost without them. Just like I said, just before we were in here on this call, I was playing Uno with my family, just being together, hearing them laugh. It's probably some of the greatest, experiences. Just being with them and seeing smiles on their faces, hearing them laugh, getting to do life together.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, so I agree with you there. That's kind of where I was going to drive to.
Hold on, both of you. Say your wives are not listening to this interview. What is your question?
What is my answer? You're
Or
saying?
your answer, yeah, not question.
Pornography. I don't know. What do you want? What do you want from me, Heather? No. What makes me the happiest is my family, and I would say family / friends, right? So when I'm around my family,
Friends are family.
exactly, be it around Heather and my son, it's just us together, or we have a bunch of a whole party of friends over. That is like the best. We can all sit around and BS together and have fun and laugh, and that's what makes me the happiest. I don't know. Sometimes I would say, my question should have kind of developed into something a little different. What brings you, I guess, the most amount of what's the question I wanted? I'm trying to think of how I could form it. But what brings you the most amount of peace? And I was going to say, because that was going to be my original question versus this one, and it was going to be sitting in front of the computer and editing videos, because that actually gets my mind. It takes my mind somewhere else like entirely, and I feel like I can just hyper focus on something. My mind, I have really bad anxiety, so my mind is constantly moving, and sometimes I try to talk and I can't form sentences, but that's kind of what takes me to my happy place, is to do that and kind of just like let go. So let's reposition the question. Where are you with that question?
I think just just kind of sketching, doodling. It's like stuff that's kind of get in that zone, like you're saying, where you can just kind of let the outside world kind of fade off.
Absolutely.
I was always carrying like a little sketchbook or something around in my backpack or my pocket, and then picked up an iPad years ago, and have had a couple different iterations of that. But and as the apps have gotten better and better, it's like sometimes it feels more like actual sketching on
That's
there.
awesome.
And yeah, so just kind of getting to sit and do that, and kind of veg out and explore creative spaces, or just draw nonsense.
That's fun too. I do that sometimes myself.
Yeah.
Heather, how about you? Let's go on both, right? So what makes you the happiest? And then also, this is going to be the first question is a 2-part question. So I did horrible with picking the 3 random questions, by the way.
So now it's going to be
now it's 2 questions for the first one.
It's an A and a B.
What makes you the happiest? And you can say Chris. And then for the second question, where's the place of peace for you?
A, pornography. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go with family/friends, but I have an add-on, and you can do all of this at once. / with food.
Oh.
I love eating. I love hanging out. I love doing both.
All right.
That's my answer. Like a cookout.
Right. Excellent.
Except I don't like when the beans get too cold.
Okay, that's weird, but all right.
I really have an issue with cold
beans. Okay.
Peace. It's interesting. I have 2 answers. Yoga. Being on a yoga mat brings me a lot of peace. But my second answer is I have a favorite park, and it's a park 5 minutes down the road from my dad's house where I grew up. And I would say sitting on a bench at that park watching the water with my dog.
Aw, yeah. That's really cute, Heather.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. That's the perfect word for this. It's nice. If you won the lottery, and I put in parentheses $100 million tomorrow, what would be your very first purchase?
Can I answer that first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Breakfast.
Well, damn. You know what? That's a brilliant answer. That's a good answer.
Oh man, I think big purchase. I would just, I think it's pay off my house.
Hey, there you go.
Wow, not even get a bigger house. Just pay off what you have. I like that.
Yeah, I like where I live. Like the neighborhood. I think that'd be the first thing I would do, because that just takes a major commitment out of the monthly bill cycle.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Can be a game changer.
I was going to say buy a new house because I need more room for all of my collectibles. So I thought that would be cool to have a larger house to put all my things.
Mm-hmm.
And
my second purchase is the secret house with all of my stuff in it. That I don't have to.
Not only a bigger house for all my things, but also for a towel closet for Heather, because we don't have a towel closet.
You're so sweet. Yeah, it's really weird. We're missing a lot of storage space in this house. We fell in love with the house. We live in a cute little neighborhood. The house, to me, would be the perfect size if there was more functioning space. Like, next to this room, we have what we consider our living room, but we're hardly ever in it. Like, I game in there, and we have a wash machine on the other side, but there's so much space that we could use for other things, but it's just in an awkward location. But if I could take that space and make a towel closet and a coat closet, I would be thrilled. Like, I just want a freaking coat closet.
It's the little things. It's weird.
When we bought this house, we didn't think about a closet for our towels. Isn't that weird? Like, I just find that to be so weird.
It is very weird.
Okay, so Heather, I can't wait to hear your answer to this last question. This is the third question.
Answer to that question.
And so the answer cannot be Chris. What really gets on your nerves?
I have one.
Okay.
One of mine is when people say, I could care less. Because you say I couldn't care less.
Oh no.
Because I often have to bite my tongue when somebody says, I could care less. I'm going to say, okay, let me see.
Oh no.
Let me see you caring less. Anyway, that's just like I had a great aunt who was a career English teacher until she became the head librarian at where she worked. And she always drove that into my mind. And so now whenever somebody goes, I could care less, I'm like, you know? So I guess it's a little bit of a pet peeve.
Yeah, that's something I do all the time, and Heather always has to correct me. It happens all the time. I feel like a complete idiot.
We worked that out beforehand. She asked me if I didn't mind saying that, just to help out.
You know, he also said something about people who throw recyclables in the trash can. But...
Listen, I don't. I throw away plastic bottles because they're not going through recycling. They just throw them away. Thank you. Okay. What gets on my nerves?
Oh, no. Your wife talking SHIT.
No, that doesn't really get on my nerves.
It's funny. I said that, but he actually, a lot of times in videos, he'll ask me to give him a hard time because people seem to like find that funny. And I typically do give him a hard time, but sometimes I'm not like super quick with it. And he'll be like, you should make fun of me. Why are you not making fun of me right now?
What gets on my nerve? I don't know. The one thing that really gets on my nerves is...
I lost you guys again.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
What really gets on my nerves is when I go to do something, specifically going to mow the lawn or to use the weed whacker, only to find out that I ran out of gas for it.
Oh, yeah.
Oof.
Because I have specifically in my head... I have specifically scheduled in my head that I'm going to do this. And the fact that whatever I need to do doesn't have the proper equipment or fuel to do it, that annoys me and irks me the most. Because then I have to take the ride of shame to go and buy gasoline for whatever the item is. Particularly really pisses me off. Especially, that comes up because it's the summertime and it happens. It happens a lot because my planning is really poor.
Yes, it is.
Very poor planner. Heather?
What gets on your nerves? I'm sure I could think of a million things. I find myself...
Am I all 1 million of them?
No. I find myself annoyed pretty often, but it's always over minor inconveniences. So I constantly remind myself, like, it could be worse. But I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, and this might sound horrible to some people, but I do keep my phone pretty silent, especially when I'm in bed. Like at nighttime, I have all my texts and Facebook, Instagram, everything's like quiet. Yeah. But if I wake up in the morning at say like 7 or 8 o'clock and I already have a message from somebody business related, I get really irritated. Like
you do get irritated over that.
If someone messages me at like 5 or 6, like I don't care that you're going to work at 5 in the morning. I'm not, and you don't know like that my phone is on silent. So it's really rude if someone messages me during that time, I guess.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we live in like the age of text messages and stuff, so I think people just like don't really have that boundary anymore where I've always lived by. If it's not business hours,
you shouldn't be reaching out. Yeah, talking on the phone is another really big thing, gets on my nerves. I like to electronically text and message people. I hate talking on the phone like more than anything.
I call him all the time.
She calls me all the time. It's really annoying. But no, so that's all. That's our 3 random questions. Jason, you've been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on here and and it was it was a pretty quick kind of turnaround. We asked you about it maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and you were like, "I'm on board," and we got things going. So we really appreciate you, and happy Father's Day, by the way, because we never actually said that.
At you.
So just real quick before we get out of here, I just wanted you kind of to reiterate this whole Black Lives Matter thing that you're a part of right now, just to allow people to know what it is, where to go to find it, and things of that nature.
Sure. I think the place that I know they have a Facebook as well, but I've been going to the Instagram to just can keep aware of it. It's IA, the number 4, BLM. That's Independent Artists for Black Lives Matter. And then, there's just a number of artists that are listed out on there. Reese O'Brien's doing something too as part of it. That for every $5 you donate to a charity, you send the receipt, and they'll give you, when they verify your donation, they'll give you a raffle ticket for every $5 to put towards any of the art that's there. And I believe you can put, if you want to dump all your tickets on one artist's stuff because you really want it, or kind of spread it out, it's really cool. Though I should know off the top of my head when the donation window ends, but I don't off the top of my head. But it's already started, and they've got a window of time for you to donate through. So if you think you'd be interested, go check it out and make a difference and get some cool art too. And I know there's a wide variety of stuff. It's not all just like toys. There's different kinds of art and things as well.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'll definitely be going to check that out because I think it's a great cause, and I think it's really cool that you're a part of that. Listen, man, thank you so much again for coming on. And you're on the West Coast, so for you it's a little bit earlier than it is for us.
Yeah.
So enjoy the rest of your evening, man.
Oh yeah, I'm about to go have some California burritos for Father's Day dinner. Enjoy that. And
lucky you.
And eat with my kids, and my wife. So they're waiting for me for dinner, so it's perfect time to wrap up. And I appreciate you guys having me.
Of course.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's great.
All right, man. Great talking to you. Take care, okay?
All right. Alrighty.
Later, man. Bye. All right, guys. So that was awesome. That was a lot of fun. Let's see if we can't get Jason out of here. We have a picture here. There we go. So can I select something? There we go. Look at that. Wow, that was a lot of fun. With the interview series, you never know how it's going to go. What direction it's going to go into. I come up with a bunch of different questions, come up with the random questions, and most of the time it always turns out to be a lot of fun. And I think this one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. What made me really excited about this one is that we didn't know a lot about Barely Available, so it was nice to learn a lot about Barely Available. I love finding out about the box, that it was literally a complete accident, and they ended up putting stickers on there only because that was like the last resort.
Yes.
I find that to be interesting, and I think that's kind of cool.
I think Bob Ross, wouldn't he call that a happy accident?
A happy accident. That's right. Thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us. It means a lot to us that you guys come here and watch what we're up to and watch what we're doing. Be it that you come here for us or be it that you come here for the person that we're talking to. We appreciate the support no matter what it is. We have new videos that are out. I've been putting out almost a new video every single day, and my hand, I'm not kidding you, my hand is really messed up from clicking the mouse and controlling everything. I'm in a lot of pain today. But go and check out the new videos that we released. We have another video coming out tomorrow. It's all about the barista chomp that just released, just came out, finally was shipped, and it is such a cool piece. We talk about that. And then the video that we posted today were all about the Black Light Funko Pops, the Marvel ones that were released at Target. Really, really cool video. Those pops really blew my mind. I didn't expect them to be nearly as cool as they turned out to be. I thought they, like I'd mentioned to Jason, I thought they were just going to be, I don't know, just a cash grab, I guess, but it turned out to be something really, really neat and special. So go and watch that video if you haven't watched it already. We posted a couple other videos a couple days before that. Like I said, I've been posting a new video every day, so go and check out as you will. They're around 5 minutes or so total, the videos. Sometimes they're a little bit more, but I'm keeping them short, simple, and fast. That way you can kind of just tune in, watch it, and then be done with it and enjoy, hopefully, the 5 or 6 minutes that you're watching. The big news, is that we have our pins will be released very soon. They're Ghastly and Gastlecast pins. You want to go grab those so we can show people who might not have seen that before. We have our pins that we're waiting for the backings to come in. We're going to be numbering all of them. If you overheard, and you've never heard it before, I was talking to Jason about a toy that we're trying to come up with and design with the help of a couple of friends of ours, Jacques Morgan and our buddy Jake Carr, who helped us actually with the pins that we have here. So we're inching closer and closer, but as we sell these pins and start making a couple dollars off the pins, that helps us make and fund the toys. So the pins will be coming at you very, very soon. I'm really excited about them. We can just show off one or two just so they can see them. This is the Ghastly character. You want to hold that up a little bit closer, Heather? Thank you. And then we also have that one right there. And then we also have Gastlecast pins that are going to be coming your way as well. I still have to figure out how we're going to sell these. Heather, do you want to hold that up as well? So we'll be yeah, there you go. And we also have a glow-in-the-dark variant. That's a chase of these that there's only a certain amount of. These all will be individually numbered. So this is something very exciting for us, something we've never done before. So look out for those pins very soon on the Gastlecast Instagram. If you want to find out information, that's the place you're going to want to go to find out about Gastlecast info. We have a giveaway going on right now for a 2,500 subscriber giveaway. It's for a Luke Skywalker Hot Toys. He's out of box. He doesn't come with a box or a shipper. He's literally in a bag, but he comes with a bunch of accessories. He comes with a light up lightsaber. He is really cool. I almost kept him for myself, but I decided I wanted to give him away for our 2,500. So go and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done that. That way you have your chance to win. We will release more information as it comes along on our Instagram of when we'll give it away. Once we hit 2,500 subscribers, that day we plan going live to give him away. It's going to be that fast and that quick of a turnaround. I believe right now, don't quote me, but I believe we're at like 2,260 or 70 subs right now. We're getting very close to the 2,300. So we're only at 200 subs away, so to speak, from the goal. So we're really excited about that. And lastly, the other piece of information I wanted to pass along to you is we have our interview series next week with Top Pops. Yes, Top Pops, the biggest Funko YouTuber like ever of all time. Really, really cool guy, Tristan. We're excited to have him on and to talk to him about YouTube and about how he got his start and things that he's collected over the years and some of his favorite pops. Just do a deep dive into his collecting and all that stuff. Some of his favorite videos, stuff like that. I am really, really excited to talk to him. We've talked to him before on occasion through different things, maybe some of Jeddah's mega streams, as you guys probably you know about that already, the mega streams. We talked to him on there. We've talked to him through messaging and stuff like that. Really, really, really nice guy. So we're excited to have him on and to have a live chat with him. And so that's it. That'll be next weekend on the 28th. I want to say, is it 28th?
I believe so.
The 28th at 8 p.m. So Sunday, 28th at 8 p.m. It's going to be
Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard Time. So we're really, really excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Heather, thank you so much for being on here, and thank you for being such a good teammate or such a good partner in all this. Every time we do these interviews, I always come up with all these questions. I'm asking stuff, but you come in, you ask good questions, you have a lot of funny things to say. So I just want you to know that I really appreciate you and all the things that you do. And thank you to all the mods out there for all the things you've been doing in the chat section tonight. We really appreciate all of your support, and we appreciate your support for just being here and watching. Guys, remember, as always, we hunt together, yes! Go and check out the Facebook group, Gastlecast We Hunt Together. If you want to join a really good group full of good people doing good things, go and check that out. Gastlecast We Hunt Together on Facebook. Guys, we'll catch you next time. We hunt together. Bye.
No, you have to say we'll catch you next time.
Oh, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.